Ladies and gentlemen, students, please rise as we post the colors. Please stay standing as we have our choir sing our national anthem.
You know, I'm at the top, Jane. She's going in for an answer, like it goes up and she's, you know. So like you tell, like I'm going in for a close up. So keep it like that right now, it's fine.
Thank you. You may be seated. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Brian Stack. I'm principal here at Sanborn Regional High School. I'm proud to welcome all of you, those visiting us for the first time, those returning, those who are here every day, for a ceremony that we're going to be doing today to honor our veterans, to honor those who choose to serve, to honor their accomplishments, and to honor some of those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. Just a couple housekeeping items. Take a minute to locate the nearest exits you're around in the event of an emergency. Please know that you can exit on either side. I ask that you silence your cell phones. Take a minute to make sure that you've done that. The purpose of today, it actually started as a project where we wanted to bring about recognition and just a way for our students here at Sanborn to have a place where they could remember those who chose the path in the service, be it the Coast Guard, the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, any of the branches. And you can see here we have many students over the years who have served. This list is probably nowhere near complete and will continue to be completed over the years. Students, you see many people sitting down here front and center, some alumni dating back a few years to more than a few years family members, those that just came out, friends, to remember those who are here and what they did. It's really, really important. Anytime I'm in the community and I see that someone who served, like I see Mr. Bakey in front of me, wearing his Vietnam vet hat, I always want to say thank you. Thank you for serving. A simple statement says it all. It lets them know, you know, they were ready to serve their country, ready to do for others before themselves. There's so much that goes into such a decision like that, and sometimes it's the best thing that you can say. Speaking of thank yous, we have some people to thank for today. Of course, we have all our veterans, their family, and friends who are joining us. I have Dan Doyle, Mr. Doyle, and Mr. Voss for helping organize this event. Rolling Thunder, Bob McGigan and Royal Thunder for being here and helping us with this. You'll learn more about this in a few minutes. The Civil Air Patrol, Essex County Squadron. We have two students, Aaron Perlupo and Olivia DeLay, who are going to be helping out with the ceremony today. Rockingham County Sheriff for doing our colors. The seminary trustees, the Sanborn Seminary trustees for helping fund part of this project, and lots of people I'm probably forgetting. But before we get too much further, I would like to invite a friend of mine, perhaps my favorite former student, to come up here and join us on the stage. Mr. Clint Arnold, would you come up here for a minute, please, sir? Now, Clint's going to serve as our Grand Marshal for today, which means he's going to be overseeing our event, and I want to tell you just a couple of things about my favorite student. He will also tell you that I'm his favorite principal. It does go both ways. But Clint, you gotta come on up here, Clint. So Clint received a Purple Heart from the Army. He's a graduate of Sanborn, class of '54. He should have been, let's do some math, he started in '45. So you're thinking, why did it take so long? Well, it took so long because in 1949, when he would have graduated, he left to go in the Army, go to Korea, serve our country, and when he came back, he was quarter credit shy of graduation, right? Some of you seniors have been or might be in this situation. You know how this goes. Well, the principal at the time, of course, said, well, we can't stand for that, Clint. You got to graduate. So they gave him a quarter credit for, was it volleyball?
Freshman volleyball.
Freshman volleyball, which he didn't even realize existed. It didn't. Either way, he's a graduate, class of 1954. How about a round of applause for him? Now, what you don't know about Mr. Arnold is he continues to give back to this day to the Sanborn community. Just about every alumni ever who's gone to Sanborn knows who he is. Why? Because he's regularly running events to keep Sanborn alumni together. Probably shows Sanborn pride better than anybody I know. Constantly coming in to share stories, to share artifacts, to share all sorts of things. I never have anything to give him, so today I'm going to give him two things, because we got to have him showing some Sanborn pride. So one, for when he wants to dress up a little bit more, we have a polo shirt that says Sanborn pride. And the other, when he wants to dress down, says I'm from the old school. Mr. Arnold, did I miss anything? Is there anything you want to add?
Like you said, I started school here in 1945. I graduated in 1954. My last report card was all A's and B's. So you smart students try to figure out what took him all those years to graduate. Thank you very much.
And for the next part of our program now, I'm going to invite up somebody that I think our students know, and I'm going to refer to him as our substitute teacher, Mr. Voss.
Thank you to the students and each one of you in attendance today, taking the time to observe this unprecedented dedication that's going to the school today. On Veterans Day, many of you students shake a veteran's hand, just like those veterans right here, and you tell us, thank you for your service and welcome back. We really appreciate that. But as I stand here with them on this day, I can tell you there's no veteran here that's thinking of themselves or their service. They're thinking of those who served with them, before them, or after them, and are not with us today. For some of us, it still hurts. I am Massachusetts Brigadier General Jim Voss. And in every service, they train the individual soldier, then they work as a team or a squad, and they build a cohesive unit together. They form a tight bond that civilians just don't understand. Veterans also are a tight bond of brothers and sisters from all services who have not forgotten the sacrifices of our soldiers. Veterans Day is a very special day for us. Memorial Day, for me, used to be about barbecues and friends, but is different for veterans just as it is for a Gold Star mother. A Gold Star mother is one who has lost a son or a daughter while on active duty in the service of their country. The title of Gold Star Mother is a badge no one wants. We have one here, and I'll introduce her to you in a few moments. Memorial Day is also trying to understand why 22 veterans a day take their lives as a result of the pain that they carry and just can no longer endure. I know firsthand the effect that has on a family. And Memorial Day is thinking of 1,587 POW, MIA, unaccounted for, just Vietnam alone, and the many families for whom the pain just never goes away. Mr. Stack showed you those graduates in his slide, that slideshow loop, and he noted several of those killed in action in Vietnam. Now, I want to note, first of all, most people who join the service never see combat, but they are trained to respond. Let me tell you about two of those killed in action. Specialist 4, David Elvin Bunker. Graduated in 1964, served with Company B, 2nd Battalion, 503rd Infantry, and 173rd Airborne Brigade, United States Army, and he was assigned to Vietnam. On Veterans Day, November 11th, 1967, 3 companies of the 503rd Infantry engaged in the NVA for 8 hours and sustained many casualties. Following on the heels of the 2nd Task Force of 170 additional soldiers inserted in Hill 823, more casualties encountered. 2 companies from the 503rd Infantry, including Specialist Bunker, entered the fight and fought for more than 4 hours. Specialist David Bunker and 20 others lost their lives during that battle on Hill 823. Do we have any relatives of David Elvin Bunker here today? John Clifton Steer graduated in 1965, and he was drafted in the Army and began his tour on April 24th, 1967 during the Vietnam War. Sergeant Steer trained as a light weapons infantry soldier and served with the 25th Infantry Division, which had a reputation for tough fighting, perseverance in the face of enemy opposition. Sergeant John Steer lost his life as a result of hostile explosive device in South Vietnam, October 31st, 1967. Do we have any relatives of Sergeant John Steer? Matt Steer and his sister-in-law. And Mike Dane is also a Steer, and he's here as well. I show you these heroes because we know veterans are a tight bond. Not only were these young soldier graduates of Sanborn, but they made the ultimate sacrifice, and they are remembered by the town in Kingston for giving their all. There are streets crossing the Kingston Plains named after Specialist Bunker. and Sergeant Steer, and veteran members of the Kingston Veterans Club ensure they're adorned with wreaths across America in December each year. Now you know. Some family members may even be here with us today. Then we have Wounded in Action, and I would like to introduce to you a recipient of the Purple Heart. Purple Heart is awarded to any member of the armed forces of the United States who has been wounded or killed while serving with friendly forces engaged in an armed conflict against an opposing armed force. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, and San Juan students, I present to you Vice President of the Kingston Veterans Club, a good friend and U.S. Army veteran, Gaeton Dorsey. Gator? Gator make it today? Another Wounded in Action person, and I'll mention, graduated in 1936, and he's no longer with us. Arthur H. Reynolds. His father died when he was 2, and his mother moved to Kingston, where he lived for the remainder of his life. In 1936, he graduated from the seminary, enlisted in the New Hampshire National Guard, and served with an artillery unit. In 1940, he enlisted in the Army Air Corps and arrived in the Philippines. In 1941, in the same day as the attack upon Pearl Harbor, the Japanese attacked the Bataan Peninsula, and the U.S. and Filipino forces were engaged in fierce fighting for 4 months, eventually surrendering in April 1942 in the face of overwhelming odds. Reynolds endured the infamous Bataan Death March, and he underwent nearly 4 years of imprisonment in POW camps where the treatment was brutal and slave labor was the norm. Along with thousands of others imprisoned, Reynolds suffered malnutrition and disease and went more than a year without shoes. At war's end, he was barely able to walk out of the camp on his own. Returning to the States, Reynolds continued to serve in the Air Force for 20 more years. His awards included a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. After his service, he worked for the Kingston School Department. He opened an antique shop. He was instrumental in establishing the Kingston Historical Museum. And in 1946, he and 4 other veterans were the founders of the Kingston Veterans Club right here on Church Street in Kingston. The wreaths you see placed in front of the club in December are in memory of him and 4 other heroes. And there's a 6th wreath displayed for the POW MIAs. Reynolds has been a POW MIA and a Purple Heart Wounded in Action. One more noted special group I want to bring to your attention. After many years of working in the restaurant business, Andrea Tierney, Andy, and Donna McDermott, are they here today? They're not here today either. They teamed up to open their own diner in Epic, named Ryan's Place, in memory of Mickey's 26-year-old son, Ryan McDermott. Specialist McDermott graduated high school and in 2005 enlisted in the Army. In 2010, he served for 3.5 years before he died unexpectedly in December 2013 after his return from a tour in Afghanistan. Specialist McDermott passed away just weeks before he was scheduled to return in Afghanistan. His memory lives on at the restaurant. Ryan's Place dedicated an entire wall to the men and women of Rolling Thunder who performed the dedication of the Missing Man table at their grand opening. Rolling Thunder is today here to dedicate a Missing Man table for the students here at Sanborn. Mrs. McDermott is a Gold Star mother. May I have a full moment of silence? Thank you. I feel it's important that I bring this to the attention of all the students, especially as we dedicate this missing man table. On Veterans Day, when you remember the bond veterans have with their brothers and sisters, make sure you say thanks. On Memorial Day, as that approaches, you may know someone who served, and you wish they were sitting there at the missing man table that would be right out there in the hallway. Maybe you can picture one of your classmates serving now that cannot be with us. When you drive by the Kingston Plains, look for those graduates, David Bunker and John Steer, and remember, they were graduates and they gave all. If you know a Gold Star family, show them some support. It means so much. Some folks ask, what does the POW MIA flag mean? Right over here, prisoner of war missing in action flag features an emblem of a white disc bearing in black the silhouette of a prisoner of war standing before a watchtower, a guard on patrol, and a strand of barbed wire. Above the disc, white letters POW and MIA, framing a white 5-letter star. Below the disc is a black and white wreath above the motto, "You are not forgotten," written in white capital letters. I feel privileged to be here today, and I'm here to tell you I'm honored for this opportunity to address you this afternoon. Let me right now introduce Rolling Thunder, Bob McGuigan, and let him dedicate this table to the Sanborn Regional High School. Bob?
Good afternoon. My name is Bob McGuigan. I am a veteran, a member of the Rolling Thunder Incorporated, and a member of the American Legion Riders. I'm here today as a spokesman for Rolling Thunder, an organization whose mission statement is to educate the American people on the issues of the prisoners of war missing in action. Our singular effort is to keep their memories in the forefront of the American consciousness. We most definitely want to thank everyone whose hard work and perseverance has resulted in the creation and dedication of this memorial to prisoners of war missing in action. As an organization, we are well aware that there has been a great many people involved in this noble effort, some of whom we know by name, and others who have worked behind the scenes that we do not know at all. Although we would like to thank everyone by name personally, we are reluctant to do so at this time for fear of omitting anyone who truly deserves such recognition. So please, all of you who have any involvement of any kind in the establishment of this memorial, please accept Rolling Thunder's my heartfelt thanks. And of course, we want to thank everyone here today for your attendance at this important dedication of this memorial in memory of the prisoners of war missing in action. Why am I here? Some of you may wonder, why am I here? Why should I be involved with this? You may not have family members that are affected by prisoner of war missing action issues. You may not know of any of your friends that are affected. You may think, I haven't heard of anyone affected by these issues. Maybe you haven't been taught about prisoners of war missing in action. So why am I here? These memorials are not necessarily established by family members or friends of prisoners of war missing in action. Veterans groups do not necessarily establish these memorials, usually non-veteran groups. They're not established by political parties or specific religious groups. So why are we here? Why are we here? Why have we invited you here? These memorials are established by anyone that cares. Anyone that cares for the almost 90,000 missing servicemen and women in the country of the United States. The key word here is united. That is why we're here, to be united in our goal to always remember these servicemen and women. Just so you know, these memorials are created in various designs, some of which may be chairs flanked by flags that reside indoors. Some are tables similar to this one. Some have outdoor granite seats, finished rock benches, stadium seats, rock towers, etc. But all these memorials, though they may be different in appearance, they're all united by the same thing. They represent our thoughts, feelings that show that we care for the still missing more than 90,000 missing prisoners of war missing action. That's why you're here. It doesn't matter what your background is, your financial status, your political affiliation, or religious belief. Know that these memorials, though they still do stand for 90,000 prisoners of war missing action, they stand for a little more too. They stand for families and friends of the missing. It lets the mothers, fathers, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters know that they are not alone in remembering those that they have never heard from again. That is why you're here. We have placed prisoners of war missing action memorials in cities, town facilities, arenas, veteran park, raceways, stadium seating, etc. Some are outside in the rain and cold, covered in snow and sleet. Some are exposed to the summer heat, 18 hours a day, and temperatures that exceed 90 degrees. Even the indoor prisoner of war missing in action memorials may be dry and cool, but they have a stretch of time where they sit alone without anyone paying them any attention. But take these circumstances and apply them to the prisoner of war. You don't need to know that prisoner of war. Just imagine a person, anyone you know. Just imagine what the prisoners of war missing actions have gone through these extremes, and sometimes worse cases. These are the people these memorials represent. That is why you're here. Rolling Thunder is a non-profit organization. Everyone donates his or her time because they believe in the prisoner of war missing action issues. I represent Rolling Thunder, whose mission it is to publicize the POW MIA issues, to educate the public that many American prisoners of war were left behind after all previous wars, to help correct the past and protect future veterans from being left behind should they become prisoners of war missing in action. We are also committed to help American veterans from all wars. That is why we are here. Thank you. We're now going to set the missing man table. Prisoner of war missing man table is smaller than other tables, symbolizing the frailty of the prisoner alone against his opponents. The table itself is round to show the concern for them is never ending. The table is set for one, symbolizing the isolation of the absent service member. White tablecloth draped over the table symbolizes the pure intentions of the service member who responded to the country's call to arms. The empty chair depicts an unknown soldier, sailor, airman, or marine who is no longer with us. A single rose in the vase symbolizes family and friends who keep the faith, awaiting the return of the missing service members. The red ribbon represents the love of country, which inspired them to answer the nation's call. A slice of lemon on the bread plate represents the bitterness of the fate of the missing. The salt sprinkled upon the bread plate represents the tears shed by waiting families. Book of Faith represents faith in a higher power pledged to our country that each service member made. The black napkin stands for the emptiness these warriors have left in hearts of families and friends. The Purple Heart medal is pinned to the black napkin. Candle, symbolizing the never-ending hope for a joyous reunion for those who are yet unaccounted for. Wine glass sits upon the table turned upside down, reminding us that our distinguished comrades cannot partake in a toast the festivities for this evening. For they are the missing. Thank you very much.
Again, a round of applause for our two students, Aaron Palupo and Olivia DeLay, for helping us with that ceremony. This is a rare occasion for those who know Clint well, but we left him speechless. He said he had nothing else to add. I'm sure he will later. Mr. Boss.
Please stand while we retire the honor guard by the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office.
On behalf of the school and the school district, I want to thank everybody for being here today.